Anyone gather around left and right. Good afternoon, everyone. And if you're watching your clock, we're not punctual, but we are all here. So we're on time, right? Because we're here. And there's some technical things we're working on, and that's getting worked out. And so welcome. And if you don't know, I am David Janess, and I would call myself the acting moderator because I'm past my term as moderator. So that's something we'll have to talk about a little bit. So let's begin with prayer and ask God's blessing on our presence together. God, we thank you for gathering us together, and as you promised that when we're gathered in your name, even in a small group, that you are with us and that you are present here. And so we ask you to show us your presence in a mighty way and help us in the business of our association, the business of the church, the business of your church. And so lead us and guide us in that way. So as we work through the proceedings, we pray that you will show us your way. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. And something that's fairly new to me, I have to admit, is to do a land acknowledgement. As we are here in this place, this building in this city, it's good for us to remember that we are on land that formerly was understood to be indigenous land. So if you ever read the historic markers around Sioux Falls, it talks about some of those things. And down at Good Earth Park and the riverine peoples, and this is the Dakotas, right? So that means there's a certain cultural presence. And so the 7 fires of the Dakota, Lakota people. And so we are here in knowing. I can't hear. I'm hearing myself such. I'm not sure what else. Is this better? To lean more to it? Thank you very much. So we acknowledge that this is the land, and we give thanks for the people who have lived here before us and who took care of the land. And we give God thanks as well. So we were passing around a number of things. There's an agenda sheet. There's a treasurer's report and the minutes. And so if you, I know some are here and there's others elsewhere. And so we need to first establish a roll call, so I think we'll just sound that off. So why don't we start over this way? If you want to just shout out where you're from, you're welcome to say your name, what church are you from. Let's start in the first row here and just say, who are you? Where are you from?
I'm Joe Shanahan. I'm from
Yankton, all right. Looks like a Yankton group there, yeah. All right. Yankton, right.
Sylvia Selmstead, Yankton UCC.
And although we've welcomed you before virtually, we welcome you in person as one of our new ministers to the association. All right. Let me just keep on going across the front. And Mark Johnson also is a new pastor to our association. Welcome. And why don't we go over here with Arnie?
Hi, Sue Burris, retired United Church of Christ Mitchell.
John Richards, UCC Mitchell.
Why don't we just finish the Mitchell contingent?
Jim Taylor, Reverend Dr. Truth, pastor Mitchell.
Susan Kelly.
Mary Cameron, Brookings UCC, and Irwin UCC.
Irwin, wonderful. Brookings and Irwin.
Ellen Jones, Irwin UCC.
All right. And moving up the middle.
Mary McKay, Brookings UCC.
All right.
Available Brookings.
Brookings.
Terry Ackerman, Brookings UCC.
Gary Ackerman, Brookings, and I bring you greetings from our winter church, P Global, Dallas, Texas.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Thank you very much for that. And Penny?
Pastor Penny Dance, Al Sister UCC.
All right.
Martel, here.
Here. And Charles?
Charles Owens, Spirit of Peace.
And we welcome you virtually as well, but welcome in person.
And Becky Bruni, I'm here at First Congregational Church.
I'm Laura Hauser-Jackman, and I am a member of the sermon and currently belong here.
All right, super. And in the back,
And Matthew Ryder from Deersburg United Church of Christ.
Nancy is taking minutes, and we thank you. Yes, and
Downstairs, we have our two voting members for Two Rivers, and that's Cameron and Sarah, and they're members at First Congregational Church.
Okay, super.
On the balcony.
Oh, I'm sorry, up there. Yep. Cameron and Sarah. Yeah, well, yep. Okay. And then also, who else is on the virtual?
I don't know.
Our Associate Conference Minister, Samantha Hauser, is.
Would you ask them to please type in who's here?
One texted me, and that was Sam.
I know Sam's here, but I don't know who else is here.
I understand our ECM, Bridget Stevens, was intending to come virtually, but
Yes, that's what she told me yesterday.
okay. So she may or may be here, and so who?
And there are, if those two are online, and there are two others also.
Okay, super. All right. And I asked Nancy if she was prepared to read the minutes, and she pointed out that you have them. And so how many have not seen the minutes? And you're welcome to, if you haven't already, you're welcome to pause a moment to read them over, and then we'll accept them if there's any discussion. Oh, I've already introduced myself with David Janess, and not pastoring a UCC church at the moment. I just started a new interim with a ELC Lutheran. However, my membership is with Spirit of Peace. So I suppose with Charles, I represent that as well. So let's look over the minutes a moment, and is there any discussion, and we'll vote on it.
If you need a motion for acceptance, I'll move that the minutes be accepted
As written, okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll hold that thought. We have this struggle with a question, and we never take the time to fully answer it, how we establish our quorum, and that was something I meant to say during our introductions. As one person said, we can accept it as a quorum, those who are present. Is that acceptable to everyone here? All right, so then why don't we first, before we accept the minutes, make a motion that it's been accepted that the quorum is established as those who are here.
I so move.
Okay. And then Sylvia seconds. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Any additions or anything?
Some clarification in old business. The questionnaire letter that went out, only went out electronically.
Mm-hmm.
I was the author of that, Sue reviewed it, and we collaborated on that. Sue did volunteer to visit churches, so that to you there is accurate. I just wanted to state that clarification.
Okay, so then it was not a written questionnaire, it was a virtual email, right, with questions. And thank you, Mitchell Church, for answering it. I think Phil Bloom from Armor also sent information. Anything else?
We moved and seconded, but we didn't vote.
Oh, we didn't vote. Yeah, right. Okay, so all in favor of the quorum. So I'll say aye. And any opposed? Okay, so it's, thank you. Okay, so another question, Mark.
I actually have a question about, let's talk about association dues as a new guy. Can you elaborate upon that? Like what? We'll talk about that in the treasurer's report. Okay, perfect.
All right, and Sylvia.
I just want to, in the treasurer's report here, it says Bearsford, First Dakota National. It's actually just First Dakota. It's any branch, not just Bearsford. So.
Okay. So the minutes need to be changed to be First Dakota, not just First Dakota, Bearsford. Bearsford, okay. Any branch of First Dakota. All right. Thank you. So with that one striking, and we have a motion to accept. So would you say your name for Nancy? Larry? Gary Ackerman, okay. And second? And all in favor of accepting the minutes as they are, with that one change? And now opposed? Okay. So, Sylvia, do you want to come up to give a treasurer's report? We were not that far off of introductions. Do you want to introduce yourself, Tom? You want to introduce yourself? As we did that not long ago.
I'm sorry to be tardy. I'm Tom Quinn from Spirit Peace.
Okay, thank you. That helps our.
Well, there we go. Way up here. Can everybody hear me? All right. So, whoa, okay. And then I grabbed everything but the treasurer's report. Okay, so, yes, please. I can start, but I can't finish. I have lots of papers in my pew, and I grabbed the ones I needed in case there were questions, and then I forgot the other one. Thank you. All right, so as of last year's meeting, April 2021, the bank balance was $24,4167. We took in $4803 in conference dues. There was one church that paid, so we ended up with 3 churches not paying. So the total that the conference covered, or the association covered into the conference, was $451.50, as you can see there just below. We paid out $4,005.45 to the conference, $900 each, or $900 for $300 each to Placerville scholarships and the South Dakota Disaster Fund. There was, in the minutes last year, they wanted also $300 each to go to youth event and to the Brave Space, but I could not find a fund on the conference website to make that donation. Youth Fund is suspended until this coming summer. I imagine at some point there'll be a link to donate, but as of right now, there is not. So we could still put that money, toward youth event once that fund becomes open again. I had a question on the allocation. We had been billing congregations $150 per member, with $1.15 going to the conference and 35 cents per member to the association. However, an email from Samantha in March said that we could bill $1 per member, and so I wanted to be clear what the allocation is and how to split that, if we're still doing it the way we did before, or if that's changed, before I send out bills for this year. If we use our previous billing amount and allocation, the billed amount will be $5,073, of which $38.90.45 will be owed to the conference and $11.85.55 will remain in the association. So that's the report.
Have a lot of different issues, but I thought we voted that was the $1.50. I thought that was.
Well, that's what I thought too, and so I just want a clarification. So if there hasn't been a change, we'll continue as we've been doing before.
So what I hear you saying is that we have the option of charging $1, we can continue with $1.
I don't know if that's we could certainly vote to change it, but I wasn't aware of any change, and so I just wanted to be clear.
Just what Samantha asked.
Right, just based on an email, and it wasn't anything official, so I think maybe it was just a misunderstanding or typo or something, so I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So, any questions? Clarifications, concerns?
He wanted to know what dues are.
Okay, so what we have been doing in the past, and I'm assuming we'll do going forward unless we change it today, is that we bill $1.50 per member to each congregation based on the current yearbook. And so then send out a letter to each congregation saying how much they owe. When they send that back, we keep 35 cents per member and forward that $1.15 per member onto South Dakota Conference. We do donations to various funds, cover costs, which are very low. I mean, I need to buy stamps and postage before I send out, envelopes for this year, but. Yeah, right, so if there's a facility use or something like that, or if we have a meal, sometimes we donate toward the meal or pay for the meal, so.
It's part of our usual meeting that we will designate what some of those funds will go to.
Right, right, yeah. We'll choose today who we want to donate some money to, so.
See, we've gone down because that last time was $300, but the meetings before that, we were donating $500 to, like Placerville or a scholarship fund, we had to
Lower it a little bit,
lower it last year.
yeah. Any other questions? Clarifications? Concerns? Okay. I'll need you to entertain a motion for approval.
Thank you, Sylvia. Without further discussion, then do we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report? So moved. And say your name, please. Joe Shanahan. Okay. And second, Sue Burr, second. All right, so then we're under old business, church business. Oh, yeah, thank you. And all in favor of accepting the treasurer's report, say aye verbally. And anyone opposed? I'm abstaining. One abstention. All right, thank you, keeping me on track. So church business, that's kind of an open category. That's an opportunity for us to bring up what we discussed before. And do you have a record? You sent it to me, but do you have a record of how you filled out the form? Is it readily available? I mean, I have it too. You sent it to me. Thank you.
I think I sent it to everyone.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Just thought of that as a possible report. We don't have any sort of financial report with us.
Once again, was it 2 years ago? Yeah, our 2 meetings ago, the year we did not meet, and it was sent out a questionnaire about the status of our churches, and it was the invitation to send back information about what your church is doing and would like to see done and things like that.
Yeah, so basically,
Would you like to come up? Please?
I don't know if it's necessary to.
Well, that way everyone is hearing.
So Reverend Matt Richards, serving Mitchell Congregational UCC, we responded to the email letter that went out September 2019, answering these questions. What expectations do you have of the association regarding developing and providing vision and leadership for missions and ministries? Mitchell Congregational UCC has the expectation that the Two Rivers Association work to serve as a means of connection and support with the Tri-Conference for churches of the association to be more active in communication and service by meeting semi-annually to help provide support venues through which churches can network and provide ministries together. The question about what local ministries does your church perform that could support and give insight as to an overall vision and mission within the association. Prior to COVID, Mitchell Congregational UCC offered community forums through which current issues and topics could be addressed through faith discussions. Plans are ongoing to get back to that. Our facility houses a local household goods pantry called Helping Hand. Through local missions, we support Habitat for Humanity, local food bank, the Rural Office of Community Service, Teddy Bear Treasures. We had a grief group that met, intergenerational events, activities, and fellowship. We also host the local Pride in the Park and help with Human Services Patient Benefit Fund and the Dakotas Association. Question, what ideas emerge from your congregation when you dream about youth ministry, young adult ministry, mission and outreach, evangelism, as well as ministries that reach out and nourish seniors and elders, incorporating our church's technology in connecting with other churches through seminars, workshops, conferences, connecting with other association conference churches via Zoom, technology, and doing joint youth activities, providing a safe and fun place where youth can come and grow in faith while wrestling with life's questions. Other front porch type activities that are invitational and hospitable, continual mission, community work for the elderly and disadvantaged, evangelism through service, ministries that connect generationally, nationally, and international missions. One thing, when COVID came about, one of the first things that we did at the church is we upgraded our Wi-Fi throughout and went to 6 cat efficiency throughout the building. And we had, it was neat to see families pull up in vehicles at night, and kids were doing their homework and submitting that, because at that point all education was being done online, which was really a nice outreach piece. How can your church become more passionate and active in the ministry and life of the Two Rivers Association? By continuing our involvement and availability in association meetings, by helping and assisting with programming and ministries, providing servant leadership within the association, as well as collegiality, camaraderie, we can provide a central location with technology for the churches of the association. Unfortunately, a number of the smaller congregational and UCC churches around the Mitchell area have left the denomination. And so our thought of becoming sort of a technology hub and availability for those small churches to come and participate, say, in events like this, has proven to be unfruitful. But those are just some ideas that we came up with as a church council as we work together to answer the questions on that 2019 vision and ministry questionnaire. I think there was another church that responded as well.
As far as I know, the only other church representative answered was at Armor, and I don't have that record with me right now. I guess my question is, what should we do with this kind of information? It was enriching for us to hear what one church in our association was doing, but how can we help each other in our mutual ministry around our communities? And as I was listening to Mitchell's questions, it made me wonder, if as the years go by, perhaps we could feature another church rather than asking everyone to answer, but maybe say Brookings or Yankton or First Congregational Spirit of Peace, or even the smaller churches like Alcester or Garrettson or something could have a feature. So I guess I throw that question out. What can we do with that 2019 letter? Asking questions, what's going on with our churches? Any thoughts on that?
I'm having difficulty because there's been enough change. I don't even know who's in our association any longer.
That's a good point. So who are the churches in our association? Yeah, you want to read it out? You can do it from there. I'll repeat it. Well, you can come up if you like. Or you could read it, I'll repeat.
Leave copies for everyone if you'd like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can email it to you. This is what was sent for me to do with the new membership,
Mm-hmm.
to do the new billing, so. All right, so I'm just gonna read these down. They're not in alphabetical order. Winfred, South Dakota Community Congregational UCC. Mitchell, United Church of Christ. Sioux Falls, First Congregational. Napier, Nebraska, First Congregational. Fairfax, South Dakota, Hope Congregational. Sioux Falls, Spirit of Peace. Garrettson, United Church. Centerville, United Church of Christ. Brookings, United Church of Christ. Armour, United Church of Christ. Alcester, United Church of Christ. Springfield, United Church of Christ Congregational. Vermilion, United Church of Christ Congregational. Carthage, UCC Congregational. Yankton, UCC Congregational. Beersford, United Church of Christ. Elkton, United Parish. And Elk Point, United Parish. So, I don't have a number here, but
I counted 18 from general.
that sounds about right.
So in a sense, the old business slips into the new, because the next item is church reports. And so I open it up if anyone would like to share information about what is going on in your congregation now. You know, you could spring off what has been being done based on some of those questions, or you could, I give you an opportunity to share what's going on in your parish. Yes.
David, I just was thinking, I'm not really speaking on behalf of my church right now, but I was going back to your other question about, is there something on the UCC, the state website, that includes something about associations?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what I was thinking is if everybody, every church that's a member could write some of the things that they have done in the last 2 years with COVID and highlight things that way, that would be one way to have a record where you don't have to make 40,000 copies of something,
Mm-hmm.
but where there would be a kind of a permanent record for people to check if there's a way to look up and access associations.
So if I understand you right, and Nancy right, there is a place that you can actually leave a record?
Well, I don't know if there's a place, but maybe one could be created.
Yes.
I mean, because every association, I'm on that site, the tri-conference, and then there's a tab for associations, and then you can get into your association, and the list of churches, but I would think there'd be a way to create a space for us to make those lists, or make the list and send them to, is it
Aiden Sensor, yep.
and send them to Aiden and he can include them?
Okay, that's worth looking into. So wouldn't it be nice if we had a virtual spot to put comments and records and,
I wish
and
the Constitution bylaws for each association
easily available, right? The one,
was, when it was just the South Dakota Conference, but now it's just a list of the churches and the contact.
The one thought, I don't know if it's feasible, the one thought that ran through my mind is that the committees work on Basecamp. It's a program software that's wonderful for meetings. And what's nice about Basecamp is that you can give limited access to people. So that if our churches have access to say, Two Rivers Basecamp room, then no one else can get into that. So that's what the board of directors does, the community ministry does. I'm on a Basecamp room that's the planning for a joint annual meeting. I don't even know how many different Basecamp rooms there are, but I wonder if that is a means of setting up something for our association. Oh, worth asking. Would anyone like to share off the cuff spontaneous comments about what your church is doing?
Good afternoon. I'm Dawn Jones. I'm at Brookings United Church of Christ. I'm the moderator of the council. Pastor Mark Johnson and his lovely wife Lisa came to join us 1 July last year, full-time. That's the first time the Brookings UCC has ever had a full-time pastor. Mark is United Methodist. He came to us because his idea about the gospel and what it calls us to do aligned with what our congregation believes is progressive church and in the big scheme of things. So since Mark has joined us, and I've got representatives here who will help me if I forget something, we've got adult study that's taken on a new sense of purpose that meets before church. Mark does series ministry, which is, I'm actually ordained in the United Church of Christ, and we think of the lectionary, but it's really been nice the way Mark does more thematic kind of 4 weeks at a time or 6 weeks at a time, which in my understanding is more kind of a United Methodist thing, but I've really appreciated it. So that's really, Mark really pounds us with the gospel in the best possible way. His jobs make us uncomfortable in that seat and what we should be doing for the gospel, and he hits the mark on that. We've, the last 2 months, been doing a Friday afternoon peace vigil for Ukraine at the main, one of our main parks in Brookings from 5 to 5:30 on Friday afternoon. A couple weeks ago, we actually hosted for the first time the local PFLAG chapter members. They had always met before in the library in Brookings, and that was getting more and more shuffling from room to room. So that, since we're open and affirming, that's a really nice, that fits together really well. And so the 22 people that were there that night 2 weeks ago, we had 2 different couples that were explaining how the children came into their homes. It was fascinating and educational and inspiring. PFLAG? Parents and Friends of Gay and Lesbian.
Do you have regular contact with the Brookings PFLAG chapter?
Yes, that's one.
Would you tell them to contact Mitchell sometime? We've requested their assistance a half dozen times to set up a local chapter with no response whatsoever.
We'll get your name and brother in Christ there, and yeah. So one of the things, Mark has done this fabulous job of reaching out to the community. I mean, he's a member of the Habitat Committee. He's been a member of the Democratic Party, get-togethers, who are in our mind progressive in our little oasis in Brookings. I mean, we scored 100% on the Human Rights Campaign, assessment for like the 5th year in a row in Brookings, South Dakota. So we haven't got a flag quite as big as you have here, but we've got 2 flags hanging on a main street, which have been vandalized 3 times, so we must be doing something right, okay?
High and big and they can't get to it.
Yep, we finally moved ours up so that they weren't reachable. Every Thursday night, and this is for some time, we've had a program called The Chew, which is folks get together for a meal and discussion, and that's open to the whole community, and that's been really popular with members of our congregation and also the wider community. Okay, help me now. Mark just started a Tuesday morning, 11:30 to 12:30, conversation over scripture at one of our local coffee houses. What else you got going, Mark? I know that you're... Yeah, we do thank you, Mary and Adele. We do a cause of the month where we kind of, whether it's the environment, which is what it was last month, or whether it's food. We helped at the local backpack project. We have a backpack project that actually was begun by the Brookings United Church of Christ and took on a life of its own, so now it's its own nonprofit organization. So we're pretty proud of our, being the spark for that. In this June will be only the second time that Brookings has had a LBGT, pride event. The first one was in the summer of 19, and it was hugely successful. This year, in June, it's going to be actually, they're going to up the ante. It's going to go from it's going to go to our park, one of our local parks. And so we'll be taking part in that. And we have a member of our council who is on that planning committee. What else, Mark? What am I forgetting? There's... Yeah, we've baptized babies. We have 2 musicians from SCSU who are accomplished, student musicians, who lead our music, which has really invigorated the worship experience. Yeah, we feel really fortunate that Mark and Lisa were called to come to us, and that we were in the position right now to have them there with us full time. So thanks for letting me share all that.
I'm jumping up there before Becky does. So for those who do not know me, I'm Martel. I'm the pastor here. I just want to share that we have restructured our entire church because we've needed to. We had 2 pastors here, and Ryan has retired. He's decided through COVID that he doesn't want to pastor anymore. I had dinner with him a week and a half ago. He's wonderful. His family's wonderful. They live close by. He's working at Sanford. But because Ryan decided that he was going to retire, we are taking a look at what we really need in this church. I also want to point out that we have 100 and some families that actually watch us now online, which means our pews are more empty, but it doesn't mean that these people aren't actively engaged, and actively engaged beautifully. We have a lot of online presence. We have online Bible studies and online classes and online parenting groups and online this and online that. So the future of the church may include less people in the pews, but not less people in the church. And not to be afraid of broadening horizons in ways that you haven't thought before. This church right now is also the home church to 3 ministers in discernment. And all 3 are beautifully and wonderfully made, and bring forth ideas and keep me on my toes. So there is growth in the church even when people don't see that growth. Like people from the pews now going toward ministry. So that I don't want to go on a laundry list of what we do here, but I just want to give hope to people who see less people in the pews and say, well, maybe they can come to the church in a different way because they do here. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone who shared. And it would be great to be able to take lots of time to do a whole lot more. And but our time is running, but we want to be careful of the time, but we'll listen to one more. So be thinking about what your response might be, and you are more than welcome to respond through our group email, and then keep the conversation going. So we'll hear one more from Yankton.
My name is Ted Powell from the Yankton UCC Church. I am the director of music in the church, and we bring you greetings from the church. Just to tell you what we're doing the same things you're doing. We are trying to rebuild our church online and on congregational attendance, which went to a very small amount for a long time. And we have worked hard. Some of the things we're continuing doing in our church are we continue to host the banquet, which serves every Thursday night and alternate Tuesday nights about 275 to 300 people in the Yankton area. And that's sponsored by all churches in the area. It's a great organization. We are at 20-some years. A few weeks ago, we held a Ukraine service, which was an awesome evening, and the front of our church is decorated in blue and yellow. Now people driving by, so they see us. We continue to support Placerville Camp. Our pastor made a mistake a few weeks ago and told everyone if we had 20 new campers, she would dye her hair pink. So tomorrow, we will have a different looking pastor. Oh, there'll be pictures out. Our music department, we're continuing to try to grow that back. Our choir, we're working on it. It's been a struggle when they went 2 years without singing, and they're back. We have Monday evening Bible study. We have the Lenten study. We have the coffee on Wednesday at the Coffee House, which loyal group. We are working on developing the United Church of Christ in Yankton is in charge of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, which is built in 1885, which is right next to our church. We take care of that, and now we're developing more programs to come into that, historical and music. We have coffee chat, we have spiritual practices. Now we have 2 seminary students working on their degrees through our church, and next year we will hopefully have a fairly full-time intern. We are involved with several churches on loads of laundry, which we provide laundry services, money for the laundromat and the drying, and that kind of is getting more popular. Then I wrote something, I must have been having an attack, but anyway, we're just like everybody here. We're trying to do what works. We all have to reinvent ourselves. You've heard that phrase many times. All right, thank you.
I was sketching down some of the things I've heard, members in discernment, members connected with the church in seminary, and Ukraine solidarity outreach, and virtual methods of reaching out, new pride events, growth in spirituality kinds of things, and a wonderful list. So this is kind of the whole point here of our old business church and revisiting those goals and church reports. And so we want to know what's going on throughout our association and celebrate with all the things that we hear and see that's happening. So we give God the praise. We need to move along, and so our next thing is how we want to disperse our donations. And do we want to leave them the way they are or change them? What are they again? So Placerville.
They were Placerville, the
Conference Scholarship. That's for a youth event, right?
restricted South Dakota Conference Disaster Relief.
Okay, South Dakota Disaster Relief, right?
And then the 2 that were on the list that have not, didn't get donations was the youth events and the Brave Space Ministry.
Okay, youth event and Brave Space are still hanging. What was the one you first mentioned that I thought was youth event?
Placerville.
No, after that, I guess.
Scholarship fund.
Scholarship for what?
Conference gives scholarships. I don't know if they're camp scholarships or schools.
Oh, sure, that would be camp scholarship, I would guess, but. Oh, so, okay, all right. All right, scholarships for people discerning, moving toward pastoral ministry. Okay. Brave Space is a two-focus tri-conference ministry church growth resource. The two would be, one would be church growing in their safe place anti-racism. In other words, a church becoming a friendlier place for people of different variety of ethnic origins. And then the other prong, it would be the same kind of focus more for LGBTQ plus community. Again, creating a, it springs off of the term safe place, but sometimes it takes courage to be in a safe place, and so that's why the term Brave Space. So it's a church growth resource, and it's, as far as I know, it's specifically just with Tri-Conference. The National Church has Be the Church as a church growth process, and there's several different emphases with Be the Church, but as far as I know, Brave Space is just our local.
Brave Space Tri-Conference?
Yes, I mean, Tri-Conference, right. Tri-Conference ministry, right? Yep. Good question. And I would highly recommend it. One or both of those foci are very good to help your church grow in a focused way. Resources and also pairing with other churches that are involved in it, so you are not alone in your work. So. Yes, Zoom meetings, right. So you can partner with another sister, brother church, sibling church. So, thank you.
I would encourage people to subscribe to the Tri-Conference.
Right.
Because that's where you find out a lot of this information.
Yes. So hopefully all of your church offices and pastors have the email from that Aid and Spencer produces, and it's the Tri-Conference News as well as the National Church News. E-newsletter, I think it's. Yep, e-news. And then one of the mistakes I make is I don't scroll down far enough. Because I complained to Aiden, I haven't seen the announcements for our association meeting. She says, it's there. And as I scrolled down farther, oh, yes, it is there. Okay, so, scroll through it all. Some of it you won't care about, and there's usually links to another article. But keep on scrolling, look over it, and announcements of people passed or celebrations. And of course, send in information of what's going on in your church. So, and then, as Nancy was implying, also get it as individuals in your inbox. Right. That's why they're not. Yeah.
I think there's one scheduled for this summer now. So, like I said, that may become available to us again shortly, hopefully.
Could you ask Sam what she meant exactly? She texted me and said also offers, maybe it's Brave Space, I think, also offers a basic intuitive for folks to create intentional space for a vulnerable conversation. That must have been dealing with Brave Space. Yeah, more answer your question. So that's having to do with the National Youth Event, NIE. Yes.
That we could, give funds to that event specifically if we choose. And I know they need some.
Like there's one plan this fall.
Right, every fall and spring, again, now they have a youth event, so.
Okay, so it's on hold since there hasn't been an event to funnel the money to. But we're praying that it will soon, maybe even this summer. So we're back to the question, where and how will we disperse our funding, our giving?
Set the goal for a year to
So what is the total amount that we have to give?
Well, the amount that we approved last year was 1,500 to be split 5 ways. 900 was actually donated to the 3 funds in existence, and then there's 600 that we probably need to decide if we want to hold it and donate it when those funds become available to donate to, or if we want to fold that back in and then just start over at 1,500.
Okay, so do we have a motion about what to do with that? I think our information is out there. You want to formulate a motion, Tom?
I'll make a motion that we consider the $1,500 amount after the money comes in, and that would be split 5 ways. Maybe it should be a separate motion for whether you go back and spend money from a prior period.
Right.
So, yeah.
We could do that via email, people chiming in, voting that way.
Because that money's off, I mean, if you leave as is, that money's already been voted on, we're allocated.
Sure, that's right, I guess, yeah, it's already voted on, right. I have a second on Tom's motion.
So I'm not clear on the motion, $1,500
What are the 5?
to split 5 ways, but which,
To which 5?
Well, I was
So,
looking at the 5 that I see listed. I guess I'm considering youth events and brave space, and then Placerville scholarships and South Dakota disaster fund.
what were already mentioned, yep.
Well, I'm sorry, I was doing math in case I needed to answer a question.
So the 5 you've already mentioned, the Placerville, NYE, Brave Space, and
Some was for brave space,
there's no place to put it, right?
I mean, at least I looked on the website and on the conference sheet, you know, the paper that you can submit, and there's,
That's something to ask Sam or,
This is something we
or,
could use within our association if a church wanted to
yeah,
access the funds or something. Does that make sense?
sure.
If it doesn't make sense, I can withdraw the motion.
the other thing we could consider is if there are churches that know of organizations like E-Flag or other community organizations supporting brave space
Mhm.
that we could donate to more locally. I don't know what those would be off the top of my head. You know a couple that Martell may know some in Sioux Falls. Or maybe, was it Mitchell that wanted to start an E-Flag chapter? You know, can we support that in some way? Would be a similar.
So have a pool that would be available for churches to tap into to help finance a new ministry that is under the umbrella of Brave Space, or something else similar like PFLAG or Pride in the Park, or a safe Brave Space within their building.
That's a good idea. Now, how do we word it so she can
Right. So the funds from last year and this year could be held available in our church, or our association treasury.
So if we did the same as last year, then there would be 300 from last year and another 300, so we have 600 held aside for this type of donation or assistance.
And has anyone ever applied for help from the disaster relief scholarship?
we didn't have it available, we were supposed to put it on forward, and there was no place to forward to.
Okay,
Now we have availability. We go through.
okay.
I have a question. What organizations do we know of in South Dakota for our Indigenous brothers and sisters that could use assistance?
Yeah, in our conference, South Dakota conference, there was the horse ministry. Both of those are no longer in existence. The Dakota associations generally still can receive. So are you suggesting adding or substituting money to Dakota Association?
I just don't think we can forget that.
Right. So do we want to add and make 6 or substitute 1? So the one of those that hadn't been used. I hear everyone saying we don't want to take out the Brave Space funding, but I don't know.
But doesn't helping Indigenous fall under Brave Space, that all they would have to do is apply for?
It does, actually.
Where would, like, the horse industry were to come back and apply?
Right, on one of those two prongs of Brave Space, that would work. But there wouldn't be money going to them directly is the only problem that they would have to apply for it.
I might suggest this, Brian, you're still good enough to make the motion one way or another. I don't know about disaster, we don't have an association of Christian churches any longer. We do have an organization called Volunteers Active in Disaster, OAD it's called. I don't know how they would parcel out money for disaster relief or whatever like that. Maybe we could take the disaster relief funds and spend those for our Dakota Association. Perhaps that would be a way to break that support.
So we would need well, I guess you can change your motion to the money going to 5, but substituting the disaster relief for Dakota Association.
Just a point so people have information. I did some quick math with what we're expected to receive for 2022. Even if we, with 1,500 donations plus setting aside the 600 from last year, we still have $1,300 that we could allocate. So we could go to 6 and it would not run us out of money.
Okay.
So just FYI.
Yes.
Sometimes I think we recreate the wheel, right?
Right.
So we have, or association is part of a conference, but it's part of a tri-conference. If we go on the tri-conference website, they have a list of advocate things that we sponsor as the United Church of Christ, which include Brave Space, A Just World for All, Anti-Racism Work, Creation Justice, Disaster Response, WISE, Mental Health, blah, 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 blah. Why don't we just say we make a check to the conference and have them divided equally amongst whatever the needs are within our association or within the conference? How's that?
So Martell is suggesting that we simplify what we're talking about.
I was just gonna say, Martell, do you know when they say that, though, my presumption would be, or what I'm hearing is that would be forwarded on nationally, not just.
They can't word it all nationally, we tell them not to. By law, they have to abide by the way the gift is given for the purpose of the gift. So if we say that has to be used equally distributed upon the things used for this association, then they have to abide by that by law.
So if we gave a lump sum amount to Tri-Conference and specify how it is dispersed, then that solves
Or
our
to
question.
conference, it's South Dakota conference too, also.
Oh, right, okay.
With specific direction, then you don't have to parse out any of this.
All right, so does anyone, I guess we need a new motion now. So are you, Martell, would you like to make a motion that, there's already one on the floor, okay, so, yeah, so like, are you wanting to have it voted on or change it or what?
I'm just saying that there may be a motion on the floor, but
There was no second, so we're still hanging.
No second, and the motion dies.
Okay. So that the money is dispersed to those 6 areas now? Is it 5 or now 6? We're substituting disaster for the Dakota Association. All right. So there's been a motion made and seconded. So are we still clear on how the money is dispersed? It'll be to the way we've done it in the past, right?
I would love to hear the motion said loudly.
Let's hear the motion again. Tell Tom, could you please restate it again?
Well, I think my motion died for lack of a second.
Yeah, Jacqueline seconded it.
But it's the Dakota Association instead of disaster.
Okay, all right. So my motion would be that we take the money that is to be dispersed and we give it, now I don't quite
No, it would be the way we've done it before.
The money would go to Placerville scholarships to the Dakota Association, to youth events, and to Brave Space. Yes, local youth.
See, Sam says national youth event will be your best option to take out if we substitute one, and then she also said offer a portion of funding to annual meeting.
Technically, you can only ask questions after you guys
Oh.
seconded it. Because I have tons of comments for Bridget too.
Okay, sorry.
So if you have a motion,
Right,
you have a second, then you can open the floor for discussion.
all right, so that was some discussion. Anything else?
So these are some of the comments that I've been getting.
Oh, thank you.
So firstly, Bridget says, South Dakota Conference could really use a conference disaster coordinator to help process disaster ministry grants. And Brave Space is a unique way the associations can take collective action that can feel scary for individual churches. She also loves to share pictures of the pink hair celebrating 20
Yes.
Quick question about the, what we're adding to the Brave Space, local, Brave Space, locations. Is that local in the association?
Yes. Except for where money is designated for something else like Placerville, obviously, outside association. But the scholarships for people within the association and disaster relief within the association.
David, could you please speak up? I'm having a very hard time hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Pull that thing up just a little closer.
So the motion as stated is to split the $1,500 evenly to Placerville Scholarship, Dakota instead of, the Dakota Association instead of disaster, youth events, and Brave Space. Am I correct?
Association level Brave Space.
Right.
Okay, association level Brave Space.
Since we're in the discussion phase, I just want to ask, I don't know what maybe not asked before, do we have a Native American ministry-specific one within this association?
Not the association, no.
So limiting it to the association, I guess.
Well, with the exception of things like Placerville or Dakota Association, which is outside of the things that do relate to the association, they would remain in it. So, yeah.
Something that I learned coming over from, and I noticed in denominations is that when you refer to the Dakotas Association, those are the indigenous.
It's a separate association, just like Two Rivers. It's a non-geographical collection of indigenous churches, mainly Cheyenne River and Standing Rock, however, also Flandreau, I think, the one in Nebraska near Napier. And then there's also one in North Dakota, which is part of the Standing Rock Reservation.
That's Standing Rock.
But still Standing Rock, right? But it's not in the state. And then so, right. So that's anything else relating to the motion? All right. So all in favor of the motion that Tom put out and was seconded, say aye. Aye. And opposed? Okay, 2 opposed. And then our time is whittling away, and one of the things put on the agenda is to talk about our why. Is there anyone wants to talk about that? And to me, in a way, we have addressed that by sharing about our churches, and part of our why is to interconnect with each other, to support each other. But one of the questions that has been, why does the association within the South Dakota Conference of United Church of Christ exist at all? Well, there's a polity answer to that question, but still the question is out there, why do we exist? What's our purpose for existing? And that would be a hard question to answer within our time frame. But anyone would like to address that? Yeah. Yeah, for the polity of United Church of Christ is that as a congregational model, then well, from the Methodist point of view, this is part of annual conference, if that makes sense. This is part of the business that has to do with the larger church. As we do business here within our association geographic area, it also is impacting on the conference and the tri-conference and the national and so on. Well, sort of. Yeah. Yep.
Long-time UCC member, long-time secretary for this group at one point in my life. I think I've heard more and learned more here today than I have in months otherwise.
Okay, so then that's part of our why, isn't it? So what's your name? Noriva, yeah. So she, yeah, and she has said that she's learned more today than has in many years being part of the association meetings. Good.
Mark, we are kind of unique in the United Church of Christ because of our low numbers and large geographical area. Other conferences, the association is the main article. We have a committee of ministry, we have people in discernment who are accountable to that committee, any ecclesiastical councils for people being ordained, all of these things happen at the association level. Here, that has gone away a lot, and committee of ministry is now at conference level. Most of the discernment's going on at a conference level. We still have ecclesiastical councils and authorizing ordination. But a lot of associations in other places have continuing education events for their clergy, for their training their lay people, on and on and on. But we just don't have the bodies this day. And Two Rivers is already a merger of two associations. And we just have not really recovered who we are as an association. You're still asking why.
Jim?
I was going to comment similarly to what Sue Burris commented, with one additional point that I think came up before the commissioners meeting. Those of you who know me know that I'm not a fan of meeting simply for the sake of meeting. We meet to conduct business. But I think one of the failures of the Two Rivers Association has been both missing meetings due to COVID, but more importantly, with the merger of other associations, we just kind of quit doing business, and we don't know each other anymore. And I think we would be well served, as Matt pointed out in his report from our congregation, if we seriously considered having semi-annual meetings at a minimum. Again, not just to meet, but to get to know each other again, to learn where our member congregations are, and find out how we can help each other.
We used to have an autumn meeting. It was voted to discontinue that. Almost sounds like you're saying we should bring it back.
Particularly with the hiatus in face-to-face meeting over the last 2 years. I think it's important to, I said it before, get to know each other.
Sure.
I personally would not be able to name my colleagues in ministry anymore because I don't know who they are. I know Jacqueline and I know Martell. I know Jean Morrow, who's retired now.
You know Matt. He was worried.
I just simply do not know anymore.
Yeah.
I think we don't know the conference's business as a whole, what's going on. I have no idea. Because Jean Morrow is a good friend of mine, and I have no idea where she was at or what she was doing. So I'm glad to hear she's still here. I lost track of one another.
I just want to say, you know, at the meeting we had in Mitchell a couple years ago, we had a very similar conversation. And what I remember particularly about that day was how passionate everybody was, how we had to find our purpose. And I know several of you were at that meeting. And that was the first association meeting I had ever been at. And so I was just like full of the fire, you know. And then COVID, and we're really just like Ted said, we're all trying to rebuild, and so I think another meeting in the fall would be helpful, because we do need to get to know each other. We need to take, you know, one afternoon a year is not enough for us to figure out who we are and what we want to do. And I know that anybody that bothers to come to this meeting feels that way. They're passionate about some piece of what the association does. And so I agree that we need to get together more often, maybe have even sort of a retreat type meeting where we sit down and really hash it out instead of reports and that kind of stuff. I'd like to, you know, maybe the fall meeting could be more of a, instead of so much business meeting, more of a let's talk about what we want to do.
Workshop, association, fellowship together. All right, so then would you form a motion then that we bring back our autumn meeting for the purpose of fellowship building? What wording you might want to put out there?
The Two Rivers Association add back in a second association meeting in the fall of this year with the intention of the business being fellowship.
I like that, the business being fellowship. Yeah, information, fellowship, okay. All right. We have a motion and a second. Okay, so Don Jones and Sylvia Stegman. That was seconded.
Would we set that date today, or would we just let it dwindle away?
Well, we have to maneuver around, that is after the joint annual meeting, which I should know. I'm not sure of the date, is late September. I'm not sure which day that is. So we need to look at October.
October 19th,
The jam is, oh, it is in October.
yeah, Sunday through Tuesday.
Okay, so what's the date again? October 9 through 11. Okay. I'm embarrassed that I don't know because I'm on the planning committee.
Do we need to consult with Sam before we set dates?
No, I don't believe so. We don't want to keep her informed because we'd love to have her there. We could do it before, I suppose. Well, you know, with an early jam, that we could still do October. Just do it a couple weeks later, middle. We could do late September as well. But we have a motion and a second. We need to vote on that. So, all in favor of having a second meeting for the purpose of getting to know fellowship and education at some point in the autumn, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, so that's done, and the date needs to be set. Do we want to set a date now?
David, so it doesn't fall off the calendar as a compromise between September and October, I'll make a motion, subject to availability of Brookings Church, Sunday, September 25th.
Okay. Good? Yeah, we need to check with the tri-conference. Oh, thank you, Sam. But I believe that is open. We should check first. But we have that tentatively set pending any other conflicts, which I'm not aware of. What was that, 26? Very good.
A spot to say thank you to our leadership, David, Nancy, Sylvia. Am I missing anything? Because, I mean, leading us through this time, it must have been a thankless job, but I'm saying thank you.
Well, and so what I would suggest is that we drop or move on from the Y item on the agenda, because we, in a sense, for now, have settled that, because that'll be our purpose for our September 26th meeting. Does that sound right? Okay, so now, 25th, thank you.
I just want to say that however that's going to come about, I would love to help with that all meeting.
Okay, super. And then, so now we're at the very important part that's also part of the why, is that we need some new officers. I am the acting moderator. Mary Adelin is the acting associate moderator. She regrets not being able to physically be here, had a conflict. She has indicated to me that she does not wish to continue in any official way. And I need to announce that I really cannot continue in this capacity because of other ministry concerns. But I will continue to be, represent the Association of Board of Directors and also participate in meetings. So we need a new moderator, new associate moderator, and we need to decide who our treasurer and secretary are, if you're continuing or not.
We had an email discussion, and I believe you stated that it was a layperson's term.
It really is a term for the layperson, rather clergy, but at the point of where we are, it almost doesn't matter. We truly need somebody. I hate to say anybody, but we really do need somebody, clergy or otherwise. But generally it's in every other, so it should be a layperson to be the moderator. So do we have nominations on the floor for our officers? That would be moderator, associate moderator, and really to affirm or new officer, treasurer, and secretary.
I'm not sure who it would be, but with the semi-annual meeting coming up in Brookings, how about somebody from that church holding a position?
That's a good idea, because traditionally the person who was the pastor or the member of a hosting church would at least be on a planning committee, an executive team of some kind. So Brookings, any of you folks be willing to be a part of the conference, the association leadership? And you'll get lots of help. We can do that. So Nancy and Sylvia, are you willing to continue, or do you wish someone else could take your place? Okay.
I'm willing to continue unless somebody is.
Has a burning desire to, yeah. Yeah, right. Anyone else like to take the treasurer and secretary position? All right. So our nominations are open for moderator, associate moderator. Right, normally the associate moderator moves up to be a moderator. So they're sort of like a moderator in training. At this point, the two would work together to kind of learn as they go. So,
How long are the terms, David?
2 years, I believe. Could be a year. It's at the association's discretion, really. One of our problems is there are some people who are interested in leadership, but there's the sticky part of who are, as far as our clergy, who are actually authorized ministers, and according to the UCC polity. Did what Sam say, is that pertinent right now?
David,
Oh,
I'd like to nominate Jacqueline Hickox-Morgan for associate moderator.
yeah, that's one of the things. I'm not sure whether she can.
She's not in the standing in the UCC yet,
Right,
so she's technically the only person
that could work. Because I know from your church, Michael was a lay leader to the association, right? Okay, so we have one nomination as be the associate, or I don't know which, I guess the moderator, as a capacity of a layperson, and pending change in status in the conference. And anyone else? Yes.
What duties does the moderator do?
The moderator runs the meeting. The moderator would kind of focus the executive team to planning things and to building up to the meeting, and kind of work together with secretary, treasurer to funds are dispersed and things like that. We sent out the mailing. I've used my own email to write to everybody. I think it'd be really awesome if we had our own association autoresponder that we could use to send out to everybody rather than a personal email. I don't know. I don't know what the job description would be if that's in print. It's got to be in our Constitution, but yeah, it's in that box probably. Yes. I'm good with women leading us. The diversity, it would be nice to have male, female, and others.
Maybe diversity would be seen as having an entirely female leadership. That's diverse from what's ever been in the past.
Right.
And that would be a bad thing.
Right. So what did Ruth Bader Ginsburg say, that how many women would be good to have on the Supreme Court? She said, all of them. Love that answer.
And in the spirit of inclusion, like, why are we even binary? Like, let's just go for it.
Yeah.
Let's reverse it.
Yeah, really. That would be great if we have that diversity within our options to nominate. Well, it would really be good if we have our officers in place now before joint annual meeting, so that it can be announced. But we are meeting just before. We could kind of fudge that a little bit, but it'd be really nice if we could have another person on the slate. So we have one nominee. We have a second. Shall we move forward?
I know, so I'm trying to work myself out of jobs. Yeah, I appreciate the confidence that indicates, so I'll second this.
Okay, so are we nominating co-moderators?
Yeah, that's really nice way to do it. I mean, I know that might not be.
You can work it out. It's really irrelevant, how it happens, I think.
There's another organization where it's become more like
Sure.
I don't know if we can as per our bylaws, because I do have to read the bylaws. So we might have to,
Just-
practically speaking, if we were to change the bylaws, we'd have to actually have a whole.
That's true. We don't want to do that.
So technically, it'd be better if we just have a moderator and a vice moderator.
Sure, that's true. Thank you. So I propose that we do by order of nomination.
If I may ask something, and then the two of them can work it out.
Yeah.
To be, they run it whole, but officially.
And we don't have to worry about changing bylaws.
Right. Okay, so then we don't have a motion, do we? No, we don't need the motion. Okay, so we are nominating Jacqueline Hickox Morgan and Dawn Jones as a moderator and associate moderator, in a sense acting as co-moderators without changing any bylaws. All in favor? Anyone opposed? It didn't come. Very good. Thank you very much. And you are more than welcome to include me in roundtable questions and things, and I'll offer any support I can. And also Mary Edelin would do the same, offer her wisdom. Right, okay, so then we have our officers in place, and now we are voting for all of our officers. They are Jacqueline and Dawn and Sylvia and Nancy. And, anyone make a motion to affirm these officers? I forget your name.
We accept the nominations and cast unanimous ballot for the election.
Anyone second?
I'll second.
Okay, and John Richards. Okay. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, done. Anyone stand, please? The four of you. In way of installation, let me offer this blessing. God bless you and keep you in the offices that you have agreed to shoulder. We support you in this task of leading us, and I ask God's blessing on all of you, what you do. The Lord bless and keep you. Amen. And you, as the association, promise to support them in their leadership of you. If so, say, I do. With God's help, amen. All right, thank you. So, what it says in the other business is a report from Tri-Conference Ministry.
I've got it. We can hear it, but we can't.
Yeah, so our Associate Conference Minister, Samantha Hauser, has given us a video.
She has.
And we cannot put it up on big screen, but you can hear it. And so she is presenting to us.
She's online, so hi, Sam. Oh, wait. Nope. Hold on, going back. She's online, so hi, Sam. Wait.
Greetings from all of your conference staff this third Sunday of the Easter season. Your moderator, David, had asked if I might not offer a conference update. And because there are some new folk among us in the Two Rivers Association, I wanted to first give folk a bit of a historical narrative around how we became the TCM, or actually what is the Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota conferences as a shared staffing experience.
I'm going to start this over. Would you cut the YouTube, or cut the volume of the YouTube down because we're getting reverb from the YouTube?
And thank you, Sam, who's on the call virtually. And we also wanted to see, I guess we should set the date for next spring. We traditionally have done the fourth Sunday in April, and we bumped it this year because of things going on here in this church. Do you want to go back to the fourth Sunday in April? So that would be not in any conflict. It'd be the 23rd. Yes, Easter is the 9th. So so we have the 23rd or the 30th of April as possibility as our meeting. 4th or 5th? Easter is the 9th. No conflict at all. All right. So which date's best for you? 23rd or 30th? Whether the spring association meeting should be the 23rd or 30th. Normally it's been the 4th. Wow, we have a 5th this next year. I guess the host church could say the final when it is.
Would we know better in our fall meeting?
Yeah. So we will have a 2023 Spring Business Association meeting on either the 23rd of April or the 30th, which is ever is best to be hosted by Yankton. The 30th? Okay, so we set it at the 30th at Yankton United Church of Christ Congregational. Thank you. So, and then are there? I have it on the minutes, or the agenda. Our executive conference minister Bridget Stevens could address to us, but she's only on the Zoom. I don't know if she has any typed statement to make, but we, as you probably know, her time as our executive conference minister is down to a week left. She'll be stepping down officially. So as the association, we bid her farewell. And there already has been her, what's that called, her severing service?
There's the interim won't come on duty until August.
Yeah, there's a gap. Our interim is coming in August 1st, right?
But we have another person.
The office won't be blank, yes, okay. And also I should mention ACM Ellis Arnold is also, will be finishing their responsibilities within the week as well. Mm-hmm. So again, we, as the association, wish Alice well in their parting from us.
I'm the secretary of the joint parish of the Beersford and Centerville UCC churches. And I try not to inundate those members for whom I have e-addresses. But when something major, like all this change in our, the tri-conference with Bridget leaving, and then we have somebody coming in, sort of like halt the supply until the interim, I've been forwarding those tri-conference e-newsletters to the membership. And I have had response back from several of the people saying they appreciate it.
Wonderful, yeah, there you go.
And that might be a suggestion. No, I don't, like every time I get a newsletter, I don't inundate their email, but
Right.
change in leadership. I just forward that to the membership in both churches, and they've appreciated that.
That's good. So it could be forwarded email-wise, or if you have a parish Facebook page, like I had at Watertown, I would copy links and put it on our Facebook page.
And then I encourage them to, if they're really interested, to subscribe.
Right. They subscribe on their own.
But
Right.
I make my little message very short.
Sure. And Sam says, speaking of virtual, the services will air on Facebook for folks wanting to participate in the farewell services. We last on our agenda is to celebrate the Lord's Supper together, which we won't hear in this space, but we will adjourn from here and go downstairs for fellowship, and then we'll share our fellowship time together. And let me close this. If there's anything else I should say before I close this off, any other comments or things?
Question, do you hand over the gavel now?
Yes.
So technically you won't be closing, somebody else will.
Yeah, right. Yes.
I'm Laura Hauser-Jankford. I'm previously of the Prairie Lakes Association. And I'm also on the South Dakota Board. And so one of the things that Bridget did mention is that we need a South Dakota disaster coordinator. And so take that information back to your churches. It's someone who coordinates the grants and other funding that we get, either from national, mostly from national. And then if we have a disaster in our area, that person would be the one who makes sure that the funding gets where it needs to go. Nebraska has a disaster coordinator, Iowa has a disaster coordinator, and they both are people who would be willing to help the South Dakota disaster coordinator kind of learn their job. And we found those people to be just instrumental. Last 2 years ago when there was so much flooding in Nebraska, we had our own winter disasters here where we haven't had somebody in place, and it takes a little bit longer to get the funding where it needs to go if we don't have that person. So if you yourself are interested, let me know. We have a board meeting in just a couple weeks. And so it'd be great to have a person to nominate for that, not nominate, put into that.
Put in place, yeah. So summarize Laura saying that the South Dakota Conference, not just Sioux Rivers, needs a disaster relief coordinator that would work with a wider tri-conference and even the wider church. So if you are interested, you can talk with me, myself too, or Laura, members of the board of directors, or call the conference office. I invite our nominated co-moderators up, associate, and you can come up too, and I don't have a gavel. I don't know if there is one, but